Today's episode is brought to you by the best store in the universe. Thousands of shirts, but not really. Shop now and support the show at MaddoxRules.com. Welcome to the best debate in the universe. Every debate in the universe, from fighting sharks to first date charts. With over 4 million downloads, I'm your host, Maddox. With me, it's the Rear Admiral of Tangents, Ron Babcock.
Thank you, Maddox.
And joining us this week's special guest moderator, Chetan Koniki.
Hi, how you doing?
Welcome back to the show. Guys, this is going to be an amazing episode, a big debate, I think. This is one that everybody thinks about in the back of their minds. We're going to be debating this week, is the internet becoming more full of dipshits? It's something that I think we all feel in our bones. But first, I want to introduce our guest this week. He's an amazing author. He wrote the book Average American Male. He's worked on Men, Women, and Children. That was a movie based on one of your books, right?
That's correct.
And the incredible Burt Wonderstone, Bad Judge, and a billion other movies. Please welcome to the show, Chetan Koniki. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. You were on an early episode.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a little different setup in here at that point.
Totally different setup, yeah.
Was there more wires?
More wires. There was less background, certainly.
Yeah. We got a snarky comment in the chat room. They're like 124 episodes and they still don't have their shit together.
No, he says 104 episodes and Maddox still doesn't have his shit together. He doesn't reference at me.
Yeah.
He references you.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, whatever. All right. Yeah, because the soundboard is still not back up. It might be actually throughout this episode. I have it running in the background. So if you guys hear just a shit ton of sound effects, that means we're going to get it up and running during this episode. So this is also our first episode we were recording since Thanksgiving. And Ron, you did the spatchcocking of your turkey, which I thought was a joke thing. Have you heard of this, Chad?
No.
Spatchcocking? It's a real thing because Ron's last name is Babcock, and I thought he was making another pun joke, but
No, all Babcock, spatchcock. It's
What is spatchcocking?
Chad, I'm glad you asked. Spatchcocking.
Jesus Christ.
It's so there's different ways of cooking a turkey, and mostly is been used to cook chicken, but people are starting to use it to cook turkey. What you do essentially is you just cut out the backbone of the turkey, and then you flip it over, put your oil on it, pat it dry, seasoning, salt, pepper, maybe tuck some cloves of garlic or butter between the skin, whatever, and you roast that in the oven, and you roast it flat. And what that does is the bird cooks at an even temperature. So you're not drying out the legs so you can cook the breasts. And instead of taking 4 hours, it takes 1 hour. And it turns out fucking perfect. So the benefit is you get an evenly cooked bird. And you get your oven back, so you're not using your oven for 4 hours, using it for it took an hour, and I probably could have taken it out maybe 5-10 minutes earlier.
And I was shitting on it because it sounded like it's going to be like Leatherface. You're spreading out the turkey like a scroll, but Ron's turkey looked picture perfect.
It turned out, I posted it, and you're like,
yeah,
that looks pretty good, man.
It looks pretty good.
It turned out fucking great.
Ron's life, I tell you how many times.
I'm basically a Better Homes and Gardens.
Yeah.
That's my whole...
I mean, that was definitely more turkey preparation conversation than I've ever had in my life with anyone.
That's true.
Well, because I get fucking pissed off when you go to people and they get all fucking fired up about their turkeys and the way they baste it, and they're working on it for 3 days, which is fine. I just don't want to spend that level of time on a bird, So this is nice. You pick it up, you cut out the backbone. You got to get these badass poultry shears to do it, and it's fucking hard because you're cutting through bone. But then you get to use that spine, in the gravy. With the neck and the giblets.
Oh, you boil that down. You know, if you ever need help cutting through bone, you get some Saudis on the case.
Jesus.
That's a little Khashoggi reference.
Yeah, man. Good one.
Is that how you pronounce it? Khashoggi? I just realized I don't really watch.
I hear a lot of people, the pundits will say Khashoggi. They'll really try to
lean into it. The same people when they go to Taco Bell, they're like, "I'll have an enchilada."
Exactly.
Oh, I hate that shit. I have a friend like that from Utah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Like at Taco Bell, they
not Taco Bell, but anytime we go to a Mexican restaurant, he's my friend from Utah. He's like one of my best friends, but everything he does annoys me. I was like his best man in his wedding. Anyway, we'll go to a Mexican restaurant, and my buddy Andy always used to call him out on this. He'd say he has this fickle finger when he orders, and he pulls out his long, fickle, bony finger, and he just like peruses the menu like, like a race car, and and it pisses us all off because we know what he's gonna order. It's always the same fucking thing every single time. It's always a chicken burrito, and so he'll go through the menu and he'll be like, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna get a bean burrito. We're like, Roy, his name's Roy. I'm like, Roy, you know what you're gonna fucking order? Just do it. Just order the chicken. So the waiter will come, right? We all know, we're all ready, and we know he's going to fucking order it. He goes, what's in your polo burritos? We're like, Roy, it's pollo. We've told you a billion fucking times it's pollo. That's how you pronounce it. It's pollo. And he goes, well, what else? I'm like, it's chicken. It's chicken. And the waiter says, yeah, it's chicken. And he goes, well, what else is in it? I'm like, and the waiter's like, rice? I'm like, yeah, of course it's fucking rice, Roy. You know it's rice and beans. That's what they put in a fucking burrito. You know this.
Is he just doing this to piss you guys off?
I don't think so. Because if he was, I would give him so much more credit because he's really doing it. He's like the perfect combination of arrogance and ignorance. Yeah. And he's just like, really, he thinks he's like top shelf. Oh man,
I had a friend like that at a Mexican restaurant once, and he would turn to the waitress, and she's really cute, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna say this the wrong way." Like, he's being all sheepish, and we're like just laying into him, and the waitress is looking at us like we're the biggest bunch of assholes. Like, no, what is it? He's like, "I like the cheese, Kayla Dillon," and I went, and I'm like, you've lived in LA for 6 years and you don't know how to say fucking quesadilla? Like, this isn't like an exotic word. Everyone knows how to say quesadilla.
Yeah.
And he just like, and the waitress looked at me and then she like treated him like this broken bird. And I was like, yeah, and then we're like, man, and we were like, hey man, that was pretty amazing. Like, how you like that waitress is totally into you. He's like, what are you fucking talking about? I was like, God damn it. Like, this is why we don't hang out with you. Because even when we try and compliment you, you make it hard.
Yeah. This guy, I was telling my friend too. Like, this guy, like, he got his driver's license before we all did, and he was like, we called him the librarian because he had this amazing porn collection, and he would like check it out.
So some libraries are cool.
Only for porn, Ron. They have porn at libraries.
We have a running thing about I like libraries, and Maddox hates libraries for some reason.
I don't hate them. It's just that Ron gives the Babcock tip later in the episode. We'll be having the Babcock tip, but his tip a few weeks ago was to go to your local library. I'm like, I'm a fucking author. I don't make shit if you go to the library and read my book there.
Yeah, you do, because every library has a copy of your book.
Yeah, great. That's one copy. How many libraries are there?
There's more than one library in the country. There's thousands.
But even, can we just get to the pointlessness of them? We have the internet now. We don't need them.
Yeah.
Well, then the internet just increases the ability for people to just like download and watch your shit for free. But anyway,
I'm cool with that. I think it should all be for free anyway.
Yeah.
Personally, yeah.
Well, not me. Wait, what were we talking about? The library.
You're talking about your buddy has the library porn collection.
Oh, the library porn collection.
The librarian.
Yeah, the librarian.
Oh, God, that is not a title I would ever want.
One night we were over at my house, and I'm like, "Hey, you want to go up the street to Roy's house and like pee on his lawn?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Let's go pee on his lawn." So we drive a couple blocks to his place. And we call him on his cell phone. We're like, hey, Roy, look out the window. And he goes, what? And we're both standing out there pissing on his lawn, on his tree. And we're like flipping us like, oh, whatever, fuck you. And so he goes back inside, shuts the window. We turn around like thinking we're real tough badasses. We get in the car. My buddy tries to do a U-turn and bumps into the curb and gets a flat tire in front of his house.
And you had to ask him for help, I assume.
No, we were too proud. Neither one of us would.
That's hilarious.
We're standing out there for an hour changing his fucking tire in the winter, and it was like instant karma.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. We had it coming. Anyway, guys, we should get to the debate this week, which is the internet becoming more full of dipshits? This is going to be a big debate. And also, guys, I want to mention, if you want to leave us a voicemail, we'll be getting to that later in the episode. The voicemail number is on the website, madcastmedia.com. It's at the bottom of every page. If you click on the best debate, any of the best debate episodes, it has the voicemail number you can call in. Leave us a voicemail. Even if we don't play them, I'll listen to them personally. And then we got some quick news headlines at the tail end of the show. But we should get to the debate. Chad, as our return guest this week, I'm going to give you first stab of the debate. Is the internet becoming more full of dipshits? Why or why not?
I mean, technically, I guess technically yes, because more and more people are becoming connected. We're about 52% of the world currently is online on the internet. The other 48% still living in the dark ages, still living in the old world. But I don't think, generally speaking, that is true. No, because the internet still is full of everything, every piece of information that you want. I think the dipshits currently maybe are getting a little more attention because we have one as kind of the leader of the free world. And everything that he does on Twitter, I think, kind of sparks attention toward that, saying that these things are bad, these things are evil, they're used for frivolous means, and the dipshits are getting kind of like center stage right now. But still, you can go on that same internet and see what's happening at CERN, see what's happening in the space station, see what's happening all across the world of science, where certainly there are not dipshits at work.
Yeah, well, I hear this argument made a lot. In fact, I think it was actually Dreadmere from a long time ago who made this argument, because I said, are cell phones making us dumber or stupid? And his argument was, no, because you have access to all the world's knowledge.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but you also have access to celery and broccoli and carrots and vegetables in a grocery store. But do people make those smart choices? Like, you should use the internet as a tool for enrichment, but do we? And why? Obviously, I would say no, we don't. Most people don't.
Most people don't, but that's always been the case. I don't think the level of dipshittery has really changed at all because of the internet. We just have more people on it. And like, I mean, look at your feed. You just see like everyone's thoughts constantly now. And you see every thought. So we key in on the ones that make us seem like dipshits because those are the ones that spark outrage instantaneously. And we all like that little outrage hit where we're like, oh, well, fuck that person. They said something that I think I should say they shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just kind of how the internet is perceived now. But again, your friend is right. All that other good shit is still on there. You just have to fucking be interested in that.
Yeah, this is kind of like the argument against public education or forced education, which I am in favor of. I think you should get educated. And, this goes down.
Man, how does it feel living out there on that limb?
Well, it's becoming more controversial these days because I think a lot of people who are
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've debated lots of people who don't think there should be any public education or any mandatory education, which is insane. It seems insane.
I mean, how popular is that state?
I'll kind of go out there on that limb a little bit. I do think that it is a strange thing that as human beings, you're born, if you're living in a country where there is public education, or really education of any kind, even if it's like your parents telling you about whatever God you should believe in, from 0 to 18 years old, you are put in a system where you are told what reality is and how you will behave in that reality. And it's all obviously untrue. None of this is actually real. But
okay, well, this is a fascinating debate. I would love to have that debate too at some point.
Sure,
we're going to.
Sure.
But with regards to education and public education, no, I mean it's a big thing. Like, I think that people have Chad's point of view, and actually it's usually like conservatives who have that point of view. They don't want there to be any kind of public education because they perceive public education as being liberal, right? It's like too liberal leaning, too liberal skewing. So, but back to this argument of like, because the argument is made, if we don't have public education, then what we have is people who are just voluntarily learning things. But you can't learn about things you've never even been exposed to. Like, who in the hell is going to learn the correct fishing rate of a fish hatchery? Mm-hmm. That's a problem that most people
don't. The son of the guy who owns the fish hatchery. Early indoctrination. That's how all ideas are spread, and that's why we live in the world we do.
But doesn't that lead to nepotism?
Yeah, dude, we have it. That's a real thing that will always exist throughout human history.
Well, what if somebody comes along, like there's very specific fields in like heart surgery where they try to model the electric conduit of your heart, essentially, and that's something that's a type of problem that nobody is ever exposed to unless they go to academia, and unless they're introduced these topics, they're never going to study that because they don't even know that's an option. They don't even know that's a possibility. So I think with the internet, when you pull up your cell phone, you get a brand new cell phone from the store. It's pre-installed with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all these social media apps. It's not pre-installed with Wikipedia. It's not pre-installed with the Library of Congress and all these like educational sources. And even if it was, nobody's going to use them. Everybody wants to look at those titties and asses on Instagram. Right? And
everybody always wants to look at titties and asses, though. I don't think that has changed since the dawn of time. I mean, yes, we are driven by these kind of...
Is this a debate about whether it's okay to look at titties and asses? Because I am firmly in the titties and asses camp.
It's fine. Look,
okay.
The internet has everything.
Then we're all on
you can
board
look
here.
at whatever you want.
So you're saying that nobody's using the internet in the noble way that you think it should be being used.
I feel like
there's more Tom shittery.
Yes.
Is that what the word was? Tom... Or what did you say?
Sure, I don't know.
I think you said something. I was like, that's a great word.
I don't remember. But no, I mean, the original question was, is the internet generating more dipshits, right?
Dipshittery. That was
more dipshittery. Yeah. Are there more dipshits on the internet? Is it becoming more full?
More
of dipshits?
than when? More than what are we comparing?
Is it increasing?
To?
Just over time, is it increasing? I feel like even the last 10 years, something has changed. I feel like it's way more full of dipshits, and I think the reason is because it's made it too easy for dipshits to use. Whereas before, when you had to publish your opinion, you needed to learn a thing or two about buying a domain name, setting up hosting.
Sure, you have to have some technical savvy.
Yes, and because of that, the barrier of entry was much higher.
Absolutely,
and it knocked out a lot of dipshits.
But I will say this: I firmly believe that the internet is now the primary world, and the room we're sitting in is secondary.
So, what do you mean by that?
That's the world that matters. Your behavior there matters much more than your behavior here. And it also affects more people. Look at how many people are in this thing. We have 3 people sitting in a room having this conversation. All of these people, many more than 3, are listening to this and watching this.
Yeah, there's 4.
Right, whatever. Your audience, essentially. Your audience is more important than your kind of like friend base, your family, whatever. That's true for all of us. And we're now in an era where each of us must reconcile what is our relationship to the internet, to social media, et cetera, et cetera. And some people look at it for entertainment. Some people like this. You're using it as a business. We all use it for different things. But the fact that we all now must engage with that world definitely means that at least, I won't say there's more dipshits, but there are just more people involved with it. I mean, 10 years ago, I don't know what the actual number was, but it certainly wasn't 52% of the world was connected. It was much smaller. And like you're saying, there is that technological barrier of entry. You have to know how to get on it. Now, you have to buy a cell phone. It's like having a cell phone or internet access is something we consider to be a basic human right in the connected world. That to me makes it maybe there's like in quotes more dipshits, or maybe it's people have the same level of being dipshits, but now we're just all on the internet.
Our guest moderator, Dreadmere, from last week would absolutely disagree with that, which, by the way, he got lit up again in the voicemail. I'm going to say...
He would disagree with what?
Well, what you said about the internet being a fundamental human right. He would say it's not. He would say it's a choice. He would say, and that's actually the argument that he made. So he got lit up in the voicemail. I'm going to play some of the voicemail next time he's on the episode. I brought in like 1 or 2 for him, but oh man, these are going to be hilarious. But Ron, what do you think? Is the internet becoming more full of dipshits? What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess my first thought is, what is a dipshit?
Okay, a dipshit is a dullard, is kind of a moron, is someone who's not a critical thinker, I would say, is a dipshit.
Okay, so if you had the world, and let's say we were able to divide the world into dipshits and non-dipshits. Let's say it's 60-40. 40% dipshit, 60% fucking A.
Well, that's very generous.
I know. Well, I'm being nice. And let's say as they get on, I understand Chad's point is saying, well, more and more people are getting connected. There's going to be more and more dipshits just because that's how it works. I would say, though, that the internet tends to allow our base impulses to come out more easily. I know that I would say things online in a comment thread or leaving a review that I would never say to a person in real life because there's a separation there. So I think it allows us to maybe that more dipshitty part of ourselves to come out more easily. So I would say yes, I think the internet does have more dipshits.
It's also introducing a completely new, I think, psychological system that we're working in, which we have never had. When you're just having like a live interaction, you're seeing body language, you're looking at a person's eyes, all that kind of stuff. Right. You're now really just translating, like Twitter, in my mind, is kind of like the wheel to a Ferrari that will eventually come. And that Ferrari will be thought-to-thought transmission, feeling-to-feeling transmission, probably some kind of a hive mind-like thing that we all experience whenever we want. You just jack into it. To some degree. I think it's going to be like the beginning phase of it. I think will be something like, instead of having to read the shit, people are just like, oh, this is what I think about this. This is what I think about this. You'll just kind of like plug into it and you can experience everyone's experience.
That's interesting. So you're saying like that the technology that we have today is kind of like the most primitive base version of it, and that exactly. Too is going to evolve over time.
Yes. MySpace, Facebook, all the kind of like first social media platforms I think are going to be the equivalent of Mesopotamian ruins to a New York City that's to come. We're just seeing the very first start of what the internet is going to be.
When we're like grandpas. Back in my day, my friends would write on my wall.
What do you mean? That's happening now. We're already there.
Yeah. Facebook is like for old people.
Yeah, for sure. Facebook is for old
like a
people.
Grandpa. I didn't create content all day long.
Yeah.
So you assholes didn't have to plug in and achieve singularity.
Yeah, I mean, Chad's right. We are there. My website, I realized this like not too long ago, but my website is 21 years old. My website is older than many of its readers.
How many design changes have you had in that 21 years?
2.
That's great. Economic.
I like the steadiness of it.
Yeah. I talked about this a while ago on this, I think on this podcast, but I went to do a talk at a design firm, and I thought they were fucking with me, but they really wanted to fly me out to do a talk.
Oh, you told me about
Yeah.
the design.
Yeah. So I was up there, and I'm like, guys, in honor of this like design firm, you guys are top shit designers. You're amazing. I've updated the design of my website for the first time in 20 years, and I said, here's the before and here's the after, and all I did is I added 2 lines to it. I'm like, I think those look pretty sharp.
Sure. That's great.
Yeah, my website looks like shit, but that's not the point. Here, let's get back to the debate about dipshits on the internet, right? Here's what I want to argue is that the internet has given us so many new paradigms for people to be dipshits, right? So many new ways that we hadn't even thought of that people can be dipshits. Like, for example, these trending videos. I know this is a dated one, but the plank was one of the first ones that became a huge meme. It became a huge trend, and now, fast forward to even this feels dated, but Drake's fucking song, that Kiki song, when everybody does that thing when they're driving or ghost riding or whatever, and they're standing out in the court. It's the dumbest fucking meme. That's a way that people are able to be dipshits today that our forefathers never thought of. Like, if our forefathers...
It's still just behavioral conformity. We do that. We have done that prior to the internet since, again, the dawn of humanity. I would argue getting married or having a wedding is a form of dipshittery.
But it amplifies it, doesn't it?
It makes it easier, yeah.
It just makes it smaller. It makes it so that the behavior can last a few seconds, and then you contribute it to the stream that's a meme or whatever to say, I comply with this. Meaning, whatever the point of it is. If you find it funny, if you find it sad, whatever. The ice bucket challenge is to potentially raise awareness for some specific charity, whatever. All of these kind of little pieces of behavioral conformity, I think that's been in us forever. It's which team are you on? That's it.
Right. Okay, so the behavioral conformity, if this was happening a long time ago, right? Another one was the what was that stupid dance everyone, the Harlem Shake. The Harlem Shake was another one of those. Sure. And every one of these like fucking memes that come along, people were able to do this stuff in shame in their rooms. Like, with no audience years ago, which is the way it should be. You should be ashamed of this stuff. And like, not...
Why though? What if I can laugh at you? I mean, there's some part of the thing that you're saying is like, this is a person who's a dipshit who's doing this, but also like, we enjoy to laugh at those things, and they're laughing at it too in most cases.
People like to be a part of it. I think there's a sense to be said that sometimes it's nice to feel like a connection to something bigger than you, even if it is through something as dipshittery as the Harlem Shake. Like, it just feels something, you feel like a part of a community, and that feels good.
And now maybe too, you can get paid for it. If you wind up making a meme that becomes super successful, maybe you're going to get to go on the Ellen DeGeneres show or something.
Oh my
whatever,
God, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
I'm going to start making some memes.
Well, that's what happened with like the damn Daniel kid, that popped up on Ellen. And I guess they got kind of like an unfair, like one of the kids got like a surfboard or something, and then the other kid got a lifetime supply of like the Vans shoes. Yeah. And the kid's like, well, the surfboard only costs like $400. Can I get the Vans?
Exactly.
Like, this is a
and
lifetime?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I believe that the internet is the primary world, because our secondary world behavior is guided by it now at this point. Like, look at Twitter, look at any kind of Instagram, anything that's happening on social media. We're even talking about it now. But like that damn Daniel kid, he makes this one thing, he goes on Ellen, he gets all this shit. Trump puts out a tweet, all this fucking crazy shit happens as a result of it. That world is controlling more of our behavior than this world is.
But the internet can't exist without, like, I can choose to unplug from the internet.
Can you?
Yeah. I mean, if
do
I
it. Do it.
Do it right now.
Okay, should I turn off my
reach
phone?
Over, unplug,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Or...
You can't unplug from the internet. How do you pay your bills? How do you order things? Will you stop using Amazon? Will you stop watching television? All that's the internet. Mm-hmm. How will you connect with anyone? How will you communicate with anyone?
So then you mean as means of communication, yeah, the internet's like intertwined in our lives.
It's intertwined in literally every piece of your life.
But like the idea that like it controls my world, like, yeah, in a sense that it's a tool that I use, but like I don't have to like be a part of like the social media side of it. Like I can use it as bill pay.
Donald Trump is the president because of Twitter. It controls your world. It doesn't matter if you engage with it or not. It's like the idea of God. The idea is there. That controls people's behavior. Whether God exists or not, people behave based on the idea, their perception of it. It's the same with social media.
Trump can literally make a tweet right now that will affect every human's life.
Absolutely.
Every single human's life. If he made a
tweet...
He
already has done this multiple times.
Yeah, when he's tweeted things that sound like he's about to take military action, and even the commanders don't know what the fuck he's doing, and it takes him 9 minutes to tweet out the follow-up to the tweet.
Sorry, just kidding.
Yeah, like what the fuck? You could put countries on high defense. You could provoke an attack, a missile attack from another country with a tweet. Trump with Twitter, whether you are on the internet or not, I think that can have an effect. You know what though? I will say there are some people on the internet who are not dipshits, and those are the ones giving us super chats. We got one from Jimmy Pie for $10. He says, hugs and kisses. Thank you, Jimmy Pie. And Pavich Bavin for $5 says, every time Maddox drops a truth bomb, there are less dipshits in the world. Maddox, hero. Thank you, Pavich. Really appreciate that. Keep those super chats coming. I'll read those. We got some more chats in the chat room as well. We got Edlin Martinez.
I love the only thing in your house that should connect to the internet should be your computer. Well, yeah. That kind of is how it works.
Well, it's getting to the point now. I mean, now they have like fridges that are connected to the internet
via the computer inside the fridge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I agree, dude. Internet of Things, on board.
You're on board with
it? Yeah.
I'm kind of on board with it too. But I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's going to contribute to dipshittery.
I'm looking forward to like when the advertisements actually fucking work. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'm looking forward to like when they say like all the Internet of Things and like it's as easy as they make it seem to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not having to scream at Alexa, what's the capital of fucking Uruguay? Like,
it'll get there. It'll get there.
It's so like they keep trying to sell us this bill of goods, and we still have restaurant tables that are wobbly. Yeah. Like we're not fixing shit first, you know. And then they give us something new. Like they never just have it all work. It's like they keep promising things for us before they get old stuff to work. And that's like, I mean, I'm just excited for it to work. That's all.
Yeah, it'll get there.
Okay, but until it does, we still have this. I feel like it's a surge of dipshits again. So, Chad, have you ever been to like, a nice high-end restaurant or club, right? It's part of the reason it's nice and high-end. Not all of them, but like part of the reason is the exclusivity. They let in a certain clientele. You want to be among your peers. You want to be among people who, maybe like have good hygiene and aren't dipshits themselves. So if the club suddenly just like open the doors, anyone can fucking come in. You're going to have like the khaki shorts tourists coming in with their fucking snot-nosed brats. They're going to be bringing in their hot dogs or whatever they're eating. Like whatever the commons are eating.
Hot dog eaters.
What are these commons eating? Yeah. You're gonna right. Yeah. Isn't that then like a perfect analogy of what's happening to the internet? They've made it easier for the hot dog eating dipshits wearing khaki shorts to come into the club. Is that
I mean, I don't think the internet is a club necessarily. Again, I think it's like a primary human right at this point.
Well, let me give you the dark side of this, right? Okay. Because you're saying that people run. I think you made this point earlier in chat. I think you agreed, which is this making us more connected, and people want to be a part of something, right? Some kind of group, and that's why these memes and cultures and things come up. Well, the dark side of this is white nationalism.
Absolutely.
That's also getting amplified, and it's allowed these dipshits to find each other at greater speeds where they never could before.
Well, not never could. I mean,
it was much more difficult in the past.
It's more efficient.
Yeah, it's much more efficient. If in the past, if you had like a backwater, redneck white nationalist in some little cult somewhere in like, Alabama or Tennessee, whatever, and he's disconnected from the world because they are choosing to live in a lifestyle that is rejecting society, essentially. Well, now they are connected, and they can find other people who've chosen to reject society in their specific way, and they just kind of glom together, and they become like super white nationalists or the alt-right movement. I don't think that could exist without social media that we have today and without the internet today.
Well, the Ku Klux Klan existed.
Yeah, I mean, there were lynchings in the Civil War.
I mean, they seemed pretty connected and coordinated.
Well, but objectively, hate crimes have gone up. Attacks on Jews have gone up like 17% in the last 3 years.
Yeah, recently, like in a kind of historical framework, for sure. Only recently, though. I think racism has been way worse in our country in some olden times.
Yeah, that slavery was pretty bad.
Yeah.
What?
But I agree with you. It does allow people to access one another and ideas and stuff at the speed of the fucking internet.
But that's just an amplification of something that was like already there.
Mm-hmm.
Like those people already have that dipshits inside of them, and the internet is just a tool.
Right.
For
that's
them.
the point I'm making.
Yeah.
It's making it easier for these dipshits to get on. And that's why I think there's more dipshits today than there were before. You know what, Chad? If I had to argue your point, I was going to make the exact same argument you did, which is like, there's the same amount of dipshits. We just have more people on the internet. Therefore, it seems like there's more dipshits. But I also made
So really, is it the internet's fault, or really are we just mad at just the dipshit in ourselves?
The real question is the internet turning us into dipshits? Is that basically what we're getting at?
I think so. I think it kind of is. I think it kind of is because it has not led to the Mark Zuckerberg vision of connectivity. The connectivity that he had in mind was...
That's his fault, though. He fucking turned Facebook into a giant money-making scheme, and he's like in collusion with foreign governments and shit. I don't think that's not the internet's fault. That's his fault. The internet still, I think, it's just the next phase of human evolution. It's all of us connected constantly. And I don't know. I just don't see it as inherently a bad thing.
I don't think it's inherently bad, but I also think that there is something fundamentally broken about it that...
Do you feel like we've screwed the pooch so far with it? Do you feel like we've...
In some ways not. It's like we have cures for a lot more diseases now, specifically because of the internet, because of free medical information being
do you feel like we're just going to get... in your view of the internet, it seems like you have a very optimistic, positive view. Do you feel like over time it's going to just kind of keep improving, or do you feel like there will always be this duality wherein that there always kind of be just like we have in and of ourselves? There's always going to be the shitty side and this kind of noble side.
My true hope is that we eventually get an AI god who levels the playing field entirely and says, here's the deal. If you want to keep using the internet, you got to get rid of money, government, religion. Here's a new way to kind of govern yourselves. I'll help you do it. I'm hoping something like that will eventually happen. I don't think duality of humanity. I think we're reaching some kind of tipping point where human beings are about to become something else. And it's going to have to do with integrating the internet into ourselves, or at least living there primarily, like I was saying, because it's not slowing down. People aren't unplugging. More and more people are, in fact, getting access to the internet, and the people who already have it are spending more time on it. I don't think that's ever going to reverse unless we look at a catastrophic kind of end of humanity, maybe by the environment or whatever. So yeah, I think ultimately we're looking at a new version of humanity, and we're in the throes of it happening right now. All the different behaviors that we're engaging in that we never did before, specifically because the internet exists. Even just physically taking out your phone and fucking doing this. That's something we never fucking did. Just that little physical thing does have some effect on you psychologically,
Yeah, and it's becoming... It's so commonplace that nobody even bats an eye anymore. It used to be this mark of shame if you were at a restaurant and you were looking down at your phone. Now it's almost expected. I go to restaurants with friends sometimes, 4 people at a table, everyone looking down at their phone.
Exactly.
And nobody's even calling them out anymore. Nobody even cares because everybody else wants to do it too.
Yes, because that's the primary world. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You go out to dinner with 4 fucking people. You don't even look at each other, at least for some point of that dinner. You're all going to be on your phone at one time or another, and you see one person pull out their phone, and that gives
Everyone
you okay, well, fuck, that's time to look at our phones and see what's going on. That's the primary world.
Do you ever feel like it's kind of like a kid with a new toy, where all they do is they get this new toy and they want to play with it, and it's awesome. And over time, though, we're going to realize that maybe there's some unintended consequences of constantly pulling out our phone and being on it, and that there's going to be a measure, a kind of a checking in to be hey, maybe we're doing this too much. The way that phones are affecting development in children. Do you think that after 10 years, people are going to slow down at all?
No. When has humanity ever done that? Said, oh, we made this thing and we're all fucking doing it a lot. We should completely stop it, or at least check on it. Never.
Smoking?
Cigarettes. Yep, I was going to say the same thing. Cigarettes. Cigarettes is one where people were yeah, we got to pump the brakes on this one.
But that happened with government intrusion, government regulation.
Don't cigarette companies still make fucking billions of dollars?
They do, but they shifted their markets overseas. So it's very insidious. I went to Syria when I was a kid, and all this shit that had...
Is it by New Jersey or something?
Syria? No, it's in the Middle East.
Oh, okay.
When I was a kid, I remember seeing these ads on billboards and thinking it was wrong. They showed kids smoking on billboards in Syria.
Shut the fuck up.
Yep. decades after it was outlawed in America, these same companies, Philips, they moved their operations overseas where they have less regulations, and they just started marketing that shit. And I saw kids walking around smoking all over the place. Kids were smoking.
That though is like a social vice, or like maybe you want to call it a health-related vice. I'm talking about technology. That shit never goes the other way, ever. In my understanding of it,
I hope. I mean, it's unprecedented. We've never seen it happen, but my hope is almost that it does in some capacity, because I feel like someone like me, I'm like a super brain. I feel like I'm really just like a like a power.
All right,
like a powerhouse of thought and pure intellect.
Keep going, super brain.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Okay, see, because I'm able to, with my super brain, resist the temptation of checking my phone, but most people can't. And I feel like they're the dipshits, right? They're the ones who are like,
you
weeks.
can't not be fucking playing Pokemon Go when we go out for coffee.
That's a choice.
You have never not played Pokemon Go when you've left this house.
Chat. You know what?
I'm playing it right
now.
There
we go.
I'm not even kidding.
2 months ago, he bought this like Pokemon Go thing. It was like a button you push.
A fan sent it.
Yeah, and so like he was just thinking like, yeah, like what are those?
This thing plays the game for me.
You don't even need to
play the game.
I don't have to push the button. It does it automatically.
Is that a vape that plays Pokemon Go?
It's a charger for your phone. And this little dongle thing in the center, it connects to your phone Bluetooth, and it will auto spin.
Oh my god, buddy!
So you don't even have to play the game.
You are playing, Ron. You're always
I'm playing.
Stop calling it playing. It's training. Okay, we're training our.
Jesus Christ!
It's gamification. It's just watching a number go up. It's that like accumulation, that accrual that all fucking good video games, at least for me,
you're excited
have.
to watch your bank account go up. Make sure to stay tuned to the end of the episode for the Babcock tip.
Hey, speaking of Pokemon Go, we got Taylor Nikolai in the chat room. He says it's community day in Pokemon
I know,
Go.
dude.
Yeah,
dude, I totally know.
3 people.
It only lasts for 3 fucking hours. The double startup.
I know.
Shit. And I'm like, I'm here.
I know. We can't catch the double
Dude,
startup.
everyone in my office fucking talks about Pokemon Go behind me at my computer.
Yeah, now who's
and I'm like, you guys catch any of your Charzillas? Or like, I don't know any of the terminology.
How dare you? That's not a Pokemon. You know what? Blizzard announced, or they did announce this. I read this on Kotaku. They're going to make a Pokemon Go style geolocation game based in the world of Warcraft.
I've heard about that.
I'm like, my life's fucking over. I'm going to be dressed as a wizard going to Bristol Farms to fucking get goblins or whatever. It's just fucking done at that point.
I thought about you when I read that. We got a super chat in the chat room from Pavich Bama. He says, the filter of society that shamed people before is now gone. The ease of access to the internet not only allows these people to be heard, but encourages people to be dipshits. It's a race to the bottom.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That filter's not gone.
Very thoughtful.
You get immediately shamed. In fact, I think it's the opposite way, maybe too much. There's like outrage immediately. Anything you say.
Because of the dipshits, I think. That's why people are getting so shamed. It's the dipshits doing it. They're the ones, I mean, dipshits, and also like, the occasional super mind, like the big brain powerhouse. Because I love shaming people, but I do it from a place of like,
intellectual superiority.
Intellectual superiority. Thank you, Chad, a real bro.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hey, real quick, before we move on from the Pokemon Go thing, too. Last night, I was walking home at like 1 a.m., and I saw a gym that like looked pretty weak. Only like 3 Pokemon in there.
So by
health.
gym, you mean like not an actual gym, a virtual gym?
Yeah, that's like correct. A Pokemon gym. Yes,
Primary world gym.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So I'm in there. I'm like attacking this gym, and there's like 4 Pokemon in there, and then I killed one, and then there's 2 left. I'm like, well, that's weird. I only killed 1, and there's this car kind of like idling at the intersection. Yeah, next to me, and I look at the guy, and he looks at me, and I like point up to the gym, like the imaginary gym. I don't know why I pointed up, but like in the game, it's overhead. It's like a big thing.
Yeah.
And he like looks at me. He's like, he shakes his head no. He's like, I'm like, oh well, maybe I'm just a weirdo. And there's another person like maybe in a restaurant who's playing. So finally, take over the gym, and the guy rolls down his windows. He goes, dude, are you attacking that gym right now? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, it's me. I'm attacking it too. I'm like, oh, shit. All right. Well, you were here first, man. You take over the gym. And we had this like real moment, like just a stranger idling at an intersection in his Jeep.
Dude,
at 1 a.m.
I'll do you one better.
Yeah.
When they introduced trading into the game, in order to get a Mr. Mime, I met a complete stranger on Facebook in a trading group, and then met him in real life on a street corner in Koreatown. To make a Pokemon Go trade.
Wow. Was it a good Mr. Mime?
It turned out to be like an okay one, I think.
Yeah.
But, I got Mr. Mime. It completed my Pokédex for the first, whatever, Shinho region or whatever
I can't get the Mr. Mime.
And that guy? It's Chad's brother.
No.
Yeah, never. First time you met him.
Yeah.
See,
We didn't even know.
brings
together.
people together.
Took a quick genetic
Everything you guys have said in the last 2 minutes, I have no idea anything.
we are.
Like,
going
I mean,
with
I
the
have
flow.
an idea of it, but yeah, man, I just can't.
Have you ever played Pokemon Go?
I've seen people play it, but no, I've never played it.
You should at least play it one time, because that gamification of the real world is something that's going to be huge in the next 5 to 10 years.
You know what my gamification is in my life? It's like I just got pants from the Gap, $250, and my gamification was using the system to cut the cost down from $253 to $57.
Whoa! How'd you
So
knock out
that's-
$200?
Black Friday sale, 50% off, plus 10% off, plus getting the Gap card, using it during their October rush days or whatever, and building up $65 of available rewards to use.
Holy shit!
That's the way.
fantastic.
That's my Pokemon Go, is that kind of shit.
See, but Ron, you're not a dipshit, and most people, again, on the internet are, and it's the ones who are just baited by this outrage. Huffington Post just the other day posted this thing that Fox News picked up and all the conservative outlets because Huffington Post finally got on board with criticism that I made back in 2012 of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which is essentially, the story is kind of a shitty one if you think about it. It's Santa. They discriminated against this reindeer because he had a red nose.
Oh,
right?
until he was useful.
Until he was useful, yeah.
Yeah.
And only once he was useful, then they treated him like
So would you say that your friend Roy, who you used to bully, was like Rudolph, but maybe if he came out and helped you with your flat tire after you peed on his front lawn?
No, wouldn't have even accepted
Because you
it.
didn't even... That's even worse. You just because you bully him so much.
I know it pissed me off so much, Ron. This guy, I don't regret a single. If I could go back and do it over again, I'd do it just the same. Because he speaking of red noses, one day he came over to us, we were all hanging out, and he goes, he seemed kind of down. He's never down. He's always pretty okay. I'm like, what's up, buddy? What's going on? And he goes, I just went to the doctor. Is everything okay? What's up? He's like, no, what? I got diagnosed with something. And I'm like, oh shit, dude, what's up? It sounds serious. What's going on? He says, well, it's a condition. There's no cure for it. I'm like, well, what is it? I mean, he goes, well, it's called rosacea. And I'm like, Roy, are you trying to say rosacea? He goes, no, it's rosacea.
No, it's rosacea.
Yeah, and this happened all the fucking time with him. All the time. I argued with this guy for fucking years about how the word chaos is pronounced. He would say it's chose. Chose. I'm like, no fucking is it. This is before the internet was a real big thing. Yeah. So I remember I was losing my fucking mind. I'm like, Roy, it's chaos. It's chaos. And eventually I got him to budge a little bit. I called Sega of America when Sonic and Knuckles Chaos Emeralds came out.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I called Sega of America, talk to the service rep. I'm like, hey, I know this sounds weird, but can you just pronounce the name of your new Sonic game for me? He goes, why? I'm like, please, it's just my buddy's on the line with me and he thinks it's pronounced a certain way. Can you just say it? He goes, yeah, Sonic and Knuckles Chaos Emeralds. I'm like, there you go, Roy. See, it's fucking chaos. We hang up the phone.
I fucking love that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You use Sonic for not just a dictionary pronunciation key or anything. You called the fucking Sega. That's how to prove a point.
Yeah.
Makers of the game.
Yeah.
Would you say that the makers of the game know how to pronounce the title of the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there weren't talking dictionaries at the time. So finally, I hang up the phone, boom, in your face. And then he budged a little bit. He didn't admit he was wrong. He said, well, it can be pronounced both ways. I'm like, no,
oh my God.
I had literally the exact same kind of thing with a friend of mine with the word chasm.
Really? Chasm?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's very strange, man.
Yeah. And there's no way to convince these people, is there?
Yeah, I have that
Absolutely
with
not.
preface and preface.
Well, that one's preference.
Oh my God. I think with going back to the debate, the dipshittery, you're kind of having an either or fallacy in the question, which is that people are either are dipshits or are not dipshits. And I propose that we all have part of us that has either part of us is a dipshit or is part of us is dipshit capable. So I don't think there are some full dipshits out there, but I think there are a lot of people out there who are a little bit of both.
On the dipshit spectrum.
Yes, they range on the dipshit spectrum, the level of dipshittery. And I think that the internet does enable us to allow that part of us to come out more easily if we choose that.
Absolutely.
And I think that the thing is that more people are choosing that because, like you said in the beginning, we're not choosing to eat carrots, broccoli. We're choosing to eat sugar because it feels good. And I think that's what we're doing with the internet as well.
There's too much sugar on the internet. People are lazy. They're going to it. I remember at one point, I used to be so addicted to Facebook. It's like waned a lot over the years because I started blocking it on my computer. But I remember at one point, I was so addicted to Facebook, I would be browsing Facebook and I would open up a new tab and start browsing Facebook again because I got bored of what I was reading, and I just started another tab of Facebook. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing now?
See, and I think we're going to, like you say that, you don't really foresee us slowing down. And I agree. I sadly, I do totally agree that it's probably going to be like that. But I do think there is going to be more of an emphasis put on self-regulation, like much how is people are finding out how much sugar is in a can of Coke these days, and really quantifying that. But like, that's how much it is. Like, shit, maybe I shouldn't be drinking a Coke every day, maybe every other day. And I think those same tools are going to happen for using things like social media because of the effect that it's having on us.
Well, here's a sinister argument, and I think something that we haven't really considered that might actually be in play right now. Who are the most profitable users for Facebook to have on their platform? Is it smart people who are going to get the information they want and leave? Or is it dipshits who are going to spend all fucking day browsing, clicking links, clicking ads, clicking games, spending time on their network, spending their money on the network? Maybe Facebook, and I think this might be true, is designed to attract dipshits. Maybe Facebook, by design, is engineered to get as many dipshits on the platform. Because I just heard this piece, I think on like Market Watch or something, about how the engineer who first discovered Russia's meddling on Facebook, kind of brought it to the the head engineering team, and Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg were like kind of pissed at this guy. Sheryl especially, she like pulled him into his office and yelled at him. She's like, "How dare you? Why are you bringing this to our attention? Now we have to deal with it." There's like this big political fallout, and they kind of had to go down this rabbit hole of figuring out who's misusing their platform, and it opened up a whole can of worms with Cambridge Analytica and all this other stuff. But Facebook is created as a tool that kind of makes it easy for people to exploit dipshits, and they want dipshits on their platform. That's why I would say that it's more full of dipshits because it's the place there's like if you put like a bunch of like hay out in the middle somewhere, you're not going to get high end people coming to eat that hay. You're going to get animals coming to eat it, right? So you're attracting.
Well, yes.
Right?
Okay.
Right?
I don't think you'll get one person actually, high end or not. Yes. On any level, I don't think a person's going to wander out into your field to eat the hay.
Correct. And we can all agree that animals are dipshits. So if you have these... you have these like piles of hay that Facebook is putting out there, and essentially getting the human equivalent of animals, right? These dipshits on their platform, spending all fucking day long. Ron, you give me a grin.
I'm just thinking, like, do you guys spend money on Pokemon Go? Like real life money?
Dude, not only have I probably put $700 to $800 into the game just buying Pokecoins, I went to the first Pokemon Go Fest in Chicago, so that was like airfare, hotel.
So spending real money on virtual assets.
Let me ask you, what do you spend money on entertainment-wise?
Yeah.
Entertainment-wise?
Bozo.
On Netflix.
Okay.
What a bozo.
That's it. You never go to the movies, you never go out to dinner, you never go to a sporting event.
Yes, I do those things.
It's the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. That's right. Boom.
Don't spend $700 to $800.
Okay,
Well,
I mean
that's just...
Chad, I will say.
So, like, you're saying that the entertainment, the value, the entertainment you get from Pokemon Go is worth. But could you achieve that same entertainment without spending? Clearly, there are people who don't spend money on Pokemon Go.
Look, Chad, I'm on your side, but
I'm
you're
level
making us
40.
Look bad.
I mean, I'm level 40. I have 44 million experience points.
That's amazing.
I'm
only level
without
30.
the $700.
I have spent only $6, and I think Chad, you and I have different philosophies towards this because like Chad is like disappointed every time I tell him my level because it's like it's not high enough. But I'm not. I feel like you're disappointed,
Jesus, dude.
Because
I feel like I'm the opposite. The higher your level gets, the more disappointed I get here. Like, Maddox, 30? Come on.
Either way, I'm like judged by both my friends, by both my groups, the players and not. But last time I told you my level, Chad, I felt like a tinge of disappointment, and I kind of like my eyes went down a little bit. I'm like, I know. I felt like
every trainer has their own relationship.
Listen, you know what?
Game.
You're right though. It is if it's entertaining to the person and that's the way they get their entertainment. Then you know.
I've only spent a grand total of like $6 in the game, and I realized a long time ago that it's not a race for me because I enjoy just the little bit of fun I get every day from it, which is like less than 10 minutes. It's not a very fun game, to be honest, and that's the reason I play it.
The game is terribly designed.
It's terrible.
Yeah, you guys are just selling it so hard,
dude.
right now.
I would love to have an entire conversation.
Oh yeah,
like
how shitty the game is.
Do you like spending money and getting frustrated? Pokemon Go.
No, it's
that's
not.
all video games at this point. Overwatch.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, even like Fortnite. Fortnite is like at least they're selling cosmetic changes to the game, which are pretty cool to be fair. Yeah,
Sure.
but they don't. They don't change the the gameplay. Anyway, it's not a very fun game. But I like it for that reason because I can't get addicted to it. Mm-hmm. If it's not very fun, there's literally nothing to do in the fucking game after like 10 minutes unless you just want to like walk around your neighborhood a whole bunch.
Yeah, collect your shit.
Yeah.
The last $1 I spent on it, by the way, was the plane ticket to Pokemon Go Fest in Chicago last summer or 2 summers ago. No.
It was a shit
described
show.
as the Fire Festival of video games.
Yeah.
No, really?
20,000 people showed up in Grant Park in Chicago, and no one's phone could work because all the cell towers were overburdened. The game itself crashed. There were angry mobs chanting, fix the game, fix the game. It was absolutely terrible.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's Niantic.
Yeah.
The worst video game company on the planet.
Yeah, they have mismanaged that property so much, but like it
doesn't matter. It makes billions of dollars a year for them.
Yeah, it makes so much money. Anyway, guys, we should wrap up this debate. Chad, any closing thoughts on whether or not they're?
I love the chat room. Oh my God, Maddox calling Fortnite skins cool. His taste is in line with every middle schooler in the country right now.
Yeah, so
I mean, but to be fair, they are pretty cool.
shithead. I just hung out with my nephews and I spoke their fucking language. They're like,
same. I
yeah,
did it.
right?
Nieces and nephews too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Immediately, like we're talking about memes, we're talking about
Uncle
like fucking
Maddox
YouTubers.
is so cool.
Yeah, and we were talking.
right.
It was like I'm their level. I'm playing with them. I'm like, oh well, what's your loadout? Let's see what your weapons are. And like their parents were just like astonished. They were like, well, we don't. They're speaking another language. We're out of this code
Because the parents have moved into the kind of obsolete generation. They have been replaced already. They don't even speak the language of the next layer of humans that are going to take over the world.
Isn't that a good thing? Because we're like everything I'm talking about, I'm not proud of. I'm not proud that I know all this shit. I'm not proud that I know. Like I watched this new YouTuber I've been checking out. Like he just does like tons of meme reviews, and there's tons of these like meme reviews.
Yeah.
And the memes are sometimes so esoteric and so like niche. Like, have you guys ever heard of like poop videos on YouTube? Like YouTube poop?
Yeah, YTP, love them.
YTP. Yeah, YTP.
I make some bachelor YTPs.
Yeah,
on my Instagram account.
I'm gonna play one right now for you, Ron, just so you can hear the audio.
I don't know what a YTP is.
It's just like recutting any videos. A lot of Disney videos get this treatment done to them where they'll take it and just recut the shit so that they say different things than they actually said, but they'll also fuck with the imagery a little bit.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Here's one from like SpongeBob or something. Listen to this. Yeah, it's not glitching. It's all it is. It's a bunch of garbage.
That's edited.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like but is it all does it make any is any of the recuts sensical or is it all just kind of
some of them are.
See, so this is a perfect analogy, a perfect example of what just happened on a microcosm scale. Chad and I know what YouTube poop is. We had this conversation. Ron felt left out. We introduced Ron to it, right? Now Ron feels like he understands what YouTube poop is, at least on some like basic level. Someone in the chat room, DJ BX says, lol, YouTube poop? Are we in 2008? So this is this is how quickly, like this thing you've never heard of today is huge on the internet.
It's a whole subgenre.
Yeah, it's a whole subgenre. Like came and went, and there's like entire generations of people who've never heard of it, and will never have that frame of reference, that will never have that context.
Oh no.
But don't you like when we're talking about the internet and all this shit, I want it all. I mean, you're talking about having a mega mind and all this.
Yeah.
Don't you want it all in your head? Don't you want to consume it all? Don't you want to be in it constantly?
Kind of no.
That's all I want. I want the ability to live in the internet and know everything that's on it at all times.
I used to like it. I wrote this tweet a while back where I said, I just don't think that humans have evolved or were intended to have a direct conduit for feedback and criticism from every other person on this planet in real time.
I agree, but I want to get there. That's where we're headed. I mean, that is the direction we're going. I don't know if we get there or not. I don't know if there is the cataclysmic kind of environmental apocalypse that we're all now very afraid of. But if there's not, even if there is, maybe that's how we get out of it, is by going into the internet.
Okay, well,
where we don't have to worry about the fucking sun melting us all, or food shortages, or the fucking 50 million people that are going to be displaced by sea level rising in the next 100 years because we all live in a fucking hard drive.
Okay, well, we have like trillions and
Hope
trillions.
nobody drops it.
Yeah, well, it's already happening. We have trillions and trillions of neurons in our heads, right? And if you look at humanity as a whole, the entire population, like 7+ billion people, you could approximate every single person as a neuron. If you have a direct conduit from every other neuron to every other neuron, so that every other neuron in real time can communicate with each other, doesn't that then overwhelm that neuron? Like if you use that analogy with humans and said, okay, every other human now has the capacity to get information from every other neuron. I think that's not how our brains work, and I don't think that's how humanity will work either.
That's why you got to get a chip in that brain, motherfucker.
I don't think
to
there's
let
room.
you process this shit. They open up your skull and they're just like, we can't put it in here. It's not going to fit,
man.
It's not going to fit.
This brain is so swole.
We've never seen this before.
Yeah. Where do we put it?
Yeah. All right, Chad. Well, great debate.
Very good.
Ron,
Really
that was super
debate.
fun. Ron, any final thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, it just opens it up. It makes me wonder, like, you know what it does is, maybe my final thought is the fact of it's fun to play the clock forward and to see where is this going to be in 15, 30, 50 years and how much more connected we're going to be. And I guess I'm a little wary of the unintended consequences, but no matter what happens in human development, there's always going to be unintended consequences. And it'll be interesting to see the stuff that I complain about when I'm an old man.
You know, yeah, I feel like we're getting a preview of it today. I feel like the internet is war. It feels like it's just war. Every time you plug in, it's not enjoyable. It's not this relaxing thing. Everybody's fighting with everyone all the time.
But I also think there is the responsibility of the person to choose the areas of the internet that bring you value.
How? When Twitter's putting it right in your fucking front face.
Because you don't need to go on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Facebook. Where do you go on the internet?
Like there's just different blogs that I read that I really enjoy. And that's where I go.
Well, Ron, you're a smart guy, but most people, again, we established, I think, most people are dipshits, and they're going to social media. That's like.
But social media is the primary world.
Yeah.
If you're not engaged with that, you are not engaged with humanity at this point.
You're the exception.
And that can be a choice, like you're saying.
I disagree. I'm engaged. I think you don't have to have an Instagram profile to be engaged with humanity. Just because you're not engaged with all of humanity doesn't make any of those interactions less valuable.
Yeah, but you're not seeing that booty.
No,
I agree. You don't have to have any of these things. Obviously, you don't have to. But I'm telling you, that is where people are interacting more than this world.
Yeah, you're the exception.
It simply is.
You're the exception, not the rule. Most people, like over 52% of all internet traffic is, I think, just to Facebook alone. That's not even counting like...
Fuck, really?
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's fucking crazy.
The majority of internet traffic now is just going directly to Facebook.
See, and I'm actively trying to decrease the amount of time I spend on that form of the internet.
Yeah, I had my buddy just disable his account the other day because he heard that Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg report, and he said, this is just a bad platform where it's just mining data to sell to people. Mm-hmm. They're not enriching my life.
Man, their algorithms, like all those little hey, we thought you might be interested in this.
They're great.
I'm just like, God damn, this is spot on. And part of me wonders, what's the problem with that?
There isn't. Every time I have a conversation with a friend where I'm like, yeah, shit, I think I need to get some new shoes. Then I open up Instagram and there are ads for shoes. I buy them. And I'm like, yep, it knows me. That's great. And I'm wearing a pair of those shoes right now. It's fucking fantastic. And Facebook, the platform itself may be shit. It may be out to steal your shit. They also own Instagram. They also own Oculus.
Yeah.
Facebook as a company owns it all. It doesn't matter. You have to use it. Sorry, you have to until Facebook goes down. But there will be another Facebook.
I would love to have this debate with Dreadmere in the room too. We got to have Dreadmere in. We got Taylor in the chat room, says put it on the blockchain. All right, guys, don't forget to vote. Madcastmedia.com. That's where you can vote on these topics. We'll be listening to your voicemail. We got some voicemail at the tail end of the episode. We've got some, and we'll be listening to your voicemail next episode as well. But before we move on, we should get to the Babcock tip. tip. Ron, what do you got for us this week? This is part 4, right?
Part 4 of a 5-part series on financial matters. So, in the beginning, we talked about how important it is to track your spending. And that really is like where it all starts. You need to know what's coming in and what's going out. Then we talked about building up an emergency fund, preferably in an online savings account, so you could get a higher interest APY. If you're going to have money sitting there that you want accessible in case of an emergency, might as well have that money work for you.
Right.
You have to use it as an inflation hedge.
Have you heard of this, Chad? Like an online savings account? I didn't even know that was a thing. Ron?
There are online savings account banks that can offer much higher APYs than Chase or Bank of America because they don't have to have brick and mortar stores. So instead of like the 0.04% my Chase checking account gets, an online saving account bank gets 1.85%. So if you have a big old nest emergency savings, or you're saving up for a house, say you got 15, 20, 25 grand in there, that money can make money while it's just sitting there rather than lose money because of inflation.
Right.
So then after that, we talked about investing and how I recommended don't worry about buying individual stocks or timing the market. Just get yourself a good old-fashioned, broad-based, low-cost index fund. The one that I use is through Vanguard, but there are certainly choices in all the big investment places. Betterment is also really cool. You can actually get access to the Vanguard funds. I use VTSAX. It's the Total Stock Market Index Fund. So now you're like, okay, Ron, I understand what you're saying. What's the next step? You got to think of your investments as like water. And there's all different kinds of water. There's water for individual stocks or bonds or like I'm always talking about index funds. And then you got to have a place to put your water. You got to find your investment bucket. So there's different kinds of investment buckets. There is, a 401k that somebody, their employer might offer. You have IRAs, and there's a bunch of different kinds of those. There's like Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs.
Well, what are all these things? I just hear
these
acronyms.
These are just different buckets that you can put your investments in, and they do different things. So my tip is that if your employer offers a 401k, you should be taking advantage of that. That's a retirement bucket. And the great thing about that bucket is when you put money into it, it's very tax advantageous. So let's say you make $50,000 a year. You put $10,000 into your 401k. That's a retirement bucket. You're not going to get that money back until you're 65, and until then, it's going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. So you're going to.
Well, what's the interest rate for something like that?
Well, that's your investment. So you're using your index fund investment, and you're putting in your 401k retirement bucket.
Okay.
So over the course of 30 years, probably on average, it'll return 7%.
All right.
So, but the nice thing is that when you put $10,000 into it, let's say for this year. And you got to pay taxes on your income to the government. You got a $50,000 salary you got to pay taxes on. Right. But if you put $10,000 into a 401k, well, that's a tax. You get to write that off on your taxes. So then you're not paying income tax on $50,000. You're paying income tax on $40,000. So because the government wants you to save for your retirement, they don't want to take care of a bunch of people in their old age because it's expensive. Right. So they make it very tax advantageous for you to save for your retirement. And a lot of times companies will offer an employee match. If you are working at a company that offers an employee match for your 401k contributions and you're not taking it, you are leaving money on the table.
That's a great... But they do it up to a cap, right?
Right. They'll do it up to like 3%. But you should at least put enough money into your 401k. Now you're saying, okay, Ron, I work a dipshit job that doesn't offer a 401k. You're like me. I don't have a 401k. What do? I would recommend looking into IRAs. There are two kinds of IRAs. There's lots of kinds of IRAs, but the biggest ones are traditional IRAs.
What's an IRA stand for?
An Roth IRA is an individual retirement account.
Okay.
So it allows people to save for retirement. So you can have a traditional or an IRA. The big difference is when you want to pay your taxes. In a Roth IRA, you're putting in after-tax money. So I can put money into my Roth IRA and I can't write it off my taxes. But when I take it out, I can take it out tax-free. Traditional IRA is opposite. I can put money into the traditional IRA. I could write it off my taxes this year. And then at the end, when I take it out, I have to pay money on it.
But you would pay money on lower rate, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is where it kind of gets really exciting is like sometimes people like retire early and they do like a Roth IRA conversion where they convert their Roth IRA into it's kind of get bonkers. The point is, you basically, a lot of times people do Roth IRAs, but like read up on both of them. You can contribute a total of $5,500 a year into IRAs between a Roth and that's total. Like if you have both a Roth and a traditional, you can contribute a total of $5,500. And I know this is a lot right now, and I'm throwing a lot of words at you, but I'm just trying to describe that when you invest in the stock market, you have to put your investments into a bucket. And these are the different kind of buckets that are available to you. The final one, and this is the one that most people probably use, is called an individual brokerage account. It's like a checking account for the stock market. You can put money in, you could take money out. It's like there's no rules, but it's not tax advantageous. So I would say if you're going to be saving for the long term in your retirement, you want to fill up your retirement buckets first. You want to fill up that Roth IRA or that traditional IRA bucket first. Put your $5,500 you have in there. Then when you have money left over, then put that into an individual brokerage account.
So why an individual brokerage account over, say, like a Vanguard index fund?
So a Vanguard index fund is, I apologize, I'm not explaining this more clearly. So the Vanguard index fund is the investment. The brokerage fund is where you put your investment. So you put your index fund into that brokerage fund.
Oh, so a brokerage fund is kind of like a big umbrella that encompasses all your investments. Is that right?
Yeah. Like a brokerage fund is just another kind of like, you can have your 401k bucket that you put your investments in. You could have a Roth IRA bucket that you put your investments in, a traditional IRA bucket that you put your investments in, or an individual brokerage account that you put your investments in. Cool. Think of them all as different buckets that you can put index funds in.
All right.
So you want to fill up the IRA first, or a 401k, something of retirement, and then you want to go in and fill up your individual brokerage account.
Thank you, Ron. Great tip. You know what you should do is, have you seen those internet memes where they show like a bunch of different buckets and where you pour in water and they say which bucket will fill up first, and they show like different heights and things like that. You should do one like that, but with like the IRA, the index fund.
I will post, I'll post some stuff to the Facebook group and my Twitter explaining this stuff a little more. And I want to recommend a book. I don't think I recommended this last week. This is the book I want to recommend to you. And this will kind of go into the next time we do a tip. But basically, I know a lot of this stuff is going over your head right now, and that's fine. But you need to, you know how long it takes to get good at this? Like, honestly, just to learn the basics of financial literacy?
10 years.
About 10 to 15 hours.
Oh, that's it.
Maybe like a couple of books, a couple of podcasts, just for you to understand the basics. But that 10 to 15 hours can change your fucking life. If you take a little bit of like personal responsibility and just be, I'm just going to figure out the basics, you can really change your life for like, I'm talking like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, because you'll make better choices, and you could set yourself up where in 20, 30 years, you will have a fuck ton of money that you will enjoy. And the book that I'm going to recommend to you right now, if you're just looking, we're like, I don't fucking know anything, and I need someone just to explain like what a fucking stock is. And this is the book a guy wrote for his 19-year-old daughter, and it is the perfect book for just figuring out the absolute basics of everything. It's called I gave it to you.
Yeah.
It's How to Build Wealth Simply.
Right.
Or no, excuse me. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. And you can get it for free on his website, The Simple Path to Wealth. He has a stock series on his website. It's the same thing. It's just a 30-part stock series. Or if you want to get a kind of a more fluid version, you could get the book, which is awesome. And I would recommend getting the book from your local library.
You know what, Ron? You blew it at the end. Veto this tip. Another one. I got to veto this tip. SR7 in the chat room says, I do a lot of personal finance, self-education, and everything Ron has said so far is solid.
Aw, thanks, man.
Yeah, he says 401k and or IRA are wrapper around a bunch of investments. The wrapper just keeps you from taking out the money, but allows you to use pre-tax money to buy it, deferring taxes until retirement. Basically what you said.
He's saying it way more simply, though.
Yeah.
And in retirement, your income is typically much lower, so you can essentially pick your tax rate via how much you withdraw. Brokerage account is just an account you can buy shit in. And 401k match can either be your percentage of what you put in, or it can be a dollar for dollar match up to some limit. All very
astute, yeah.
Very astute. But remember, keep doing your research, and part of the research is learning. So seriously, go get that book. Read it. You will put yourself on a path, and your future self will thank you.
Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you for that tip. And we've got the final part of this 5-part series next episode. But we should talk about the debate that we had from last week. Chad, last week we debated what's the worst city. What comes to mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the world?
Yeah, in the world. Well, in the U.S. In the U.S.
Shit, I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure it's some. You're talking about city like top 20 on the list of population or something.
Up to you, man.
Anything you want. We had Beaver, Utah, as one of the choices.
Big cities. We had like real podunk towns.
Yeah. I can tell you a story if you want about a little town called Great Bend, Kansas.
Great Bend, Kansas. I love shitting on small towns.
Yeah, I want to fucking bet. If there's gonna be a bend, I want it to be great.
It is. It was built on, I think, a Great Bend and a Great Bend. It was built on like a corner of a river or something. But whenever it was founded,
like a good bend.
Blah blah blah. But it was. I grew up there as a small kid until about like I guess second or third grade. Then we moved. But it's where all my grandparents lived. It was population like roughly 10,000, I think. That may be lower than that now. It was an old Kansas oil boom town that the population had steadily declined. And now, the last time I was there was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago for a funeral of one of my grandparents. And the morning we woke up in the shitty little like Ramada Inn or whatever, which is the nicest hotel they have there, the butcher down the street or whatever, I guess it's like a pork processing plant, they were boiling off the pig blood.
Oh my God.
And so you woke up to just the smell of boiling blood. And then we trekked out to this little cemetery and it was like 150 degrees or whatever, to watch my grandma's ashes be placed in this thing. But no one lives there anymore. It's like they used to have a Kmart. That's like just a rundown husk of a building now. And it is just one of the most sad, broken places that I've ever been in my life.
Great Bend, Kansas is what it.
Yeah,
Great Bend, huh?
Shout out to
I kind of want to change
there.
my answer after
To Great Bend, Kansas.
the smell of the stench of boiling pig blood is very.
Is that a good smell though? Because
No, it's
not.
Boiling blood is not a good smell.
How do you know? Because you cook steak and some of the blood comes out and you smell it and you're like, I'm ready for steak.
Yeah, it's not quite the same.
I don't know, man.
Boner for that steak. Yeah, put that in my mouth.
I don't know. Worst city. I mean, shit, dude.
Well,
who's got the highest murder rate? Who's got the highest poverty rate?
That's like DC, Chicago. But we had a bunch of choices coming in. Dead last. Dead last is New York.
Fucking A.
People like New York. That's the problem.
Overrated.
Yeah. Followed by Houston. That was my choice.
My parents used to live in Houston.
Really?
I spent some time there. Yeah. It's an
Do you hate
interesting
it?
place. I mean, Joel Osteen has his mega church there, so how bad can it be?
That's a yes. I shit on Houston so hard. And then we got Beaver, Utah. That was Dreadmir's choice, coming second place.
Uh-huh.
But
oh, shit, yeah.
number one, worst city, San Francisco. Congratulations to Mike D, our guest who chose San Francisco.
What? Why is that the worst?
Oh, man. He just went on and on about how smug San Franciscans are. Because they're all in a competition with people from LA, and people from LA don't even know that it's a competition.
Right.
It's the saddest fucking thing when people are competing really hard with you and they care with you about.
I think the city motto of San Francisco should be, can I speak to your manager?
Right.
Yeah, that's on their license plate.
Right.
Let me speak to your manager. He just went on a rant about San Francisco. And it's also cold and hard to walk around anywhere.
Sure.
But we should get to some voicemail. We got a ton of voicemail. I'm not going to play the ones for Dreadmere. I saved those. I got so many though. Here's one. Here's one about my choice about Houston. This guy agrees. Listen to this.
Maddox, I was initially baffled by your choice of Houston. But when you clarified, I gotta say, you hit the fucking nail on the head. Because I went there to see a Texans game, and honestly, there was nothing else to fucking do there.
Yeah.
The one place I went to eat was a fucking shithole. They gussied it up and tried to make it look good, but the food was awful. And there was nothing else to fucking do there at all, except my wife wanted to go to IKEA. And that was a goddamn mistake, too. But, yeah, holy shit.
That's
good point.
Mistake.
Houston fucking sucks. You fucking called it, dude. Good job.
Yeah. Congratulations. I'd like to
You
congratulate you.
cherry pick the voicemails that congratulate you.
Why, yeah, so?
It's like the one in there. The rest of them are like, Maddox, you fucking asshole.
They're always shitting on me. I play those too. But we got one. We mentioned how I think Dreadmere was trying to defend San Francisco based on the density of Pokestops for Pokemon Go. So we got.
I mean, but nothing beats LA, right? Or Long Beach, maybe?
I think, yeah, like Santa Monica is.
Santa Monica Pier is it?
Yeah,
That's
so
in my mind Mecca.
You can't spit and not hit a Pokestop if you're in the game and you can spit. Here's a voicemail about it though. This is.
Hi, Maddox. I just wanted to call in to let you know that I really appreciated how much time and effort that some of y'all put into discussing the Pokestop density in your episode about which cities were best and worst. All right, thanks. Bye.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, pretty.
You got to get on this Pokemon Go, man.
Yeah.
starting to feel like I'm missing out.
Wait for Blizzard's World of Warcraft. That's what you're going to
I will not get into that. I don't want to get sucked in. I avoided... Chad, I think you and I are similar in our gaming proclivities, and we will. I have that addictive quality when I play video games. I will get sucked in forever, and I'm so glad
honestly, that's why I steer clear of video games, because I recognize that part myself.
Ron, that's why Pokemon Go is the right game for you. It's not that fun. Like I said, there's only 10 minutes of anything to do.
Guys really need to work on your sales pitch.
But there's only 10 minutes of gameplay. That's fun for 10 minutes, and then you're done till tomorrow. And that's it. That's all you can do.
I look at it like with that little thing that I have that plays it for me. When I'm driving around, I can be accruing shit, or I can not. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
That's kind of
Does
how
your girlfriend
play
play Pokemon Go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. So
Pretty
you guys
cool.
have something you could do together?
Power couple.
Yeah. We just it also there are moments when you do get out and you're like, oh, let's go to the fucking pier and walk around for a couple hours.
I do think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It does get people interacting with their communities
It's
more.
a thing to do. You can walk next to your date. You're both looking down, catching Pokemon.
It's just fucking... Jesus Christ. You just described like a 7th grader's date to me.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Those are all my dates. Demon Noir in the chat room says, the only people who compete against LA harder than San Francisco are people from Portland. He goes, Portland people are so uppity and annoying about how amazing Portland is compared to the rest of the world. Yeah, that's true. Portland people are really hard up about their
I have XAXT saying next week's Babcock tip will not be spending money on microtransactions. Actually, you could be further from the truth.
Oh, no.
Microtransactions aren't the problem. It's the big ticket items. I'm not even going to get into it.
All right, yeah. We'll get into it next week. We got another voicemail. So we had the sponsor e-liquid a few times on this podcast, and we talk about how they have 44,000 items, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's just the right amount. we got the real Christian atheist calling us out for it. Listen to this.
Hey, Lord Maddox, it's me. This is a shout out to eLiquid. They have 6 million products and not one more. Fuck whales.
Yeah, fuck whales to you too. Then we got this interesting voicemail who's kind of like shitting on California versus New York, and specifically with regards to AIDS legislation. Now, this is something I'll have to give some background info before we get into it, but listen to this.
Hi, Maddox. So I'm your resident Long Island listener. One thing I will give you about California is when I went there that week, I never had to worry about making a right on red in California. So that's one thing I will give California. But here in New York, I can at least rest assured that if someone tried to give me AIDS, they would be charged with a felony and not a misdemeanor. Can't say that about California.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Dude,
now
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, but there's some truth to it. This was a controversial law that they kind of like backtracked on in California, in Los Angeles, I think, where if you give someone AIDS, it's like not a crime, and you would think, wow, what a horrible thing. Why would anyone backtrack on that? It's because in the gay community, there's this, I forget the actual phrase of it, but there's, I guess like a bug carrier or a carrier or whatever.
Bug chasers.
Bug chasers, yeah.
I remember reading an article about this a long time ago.
Yeah. They're men who intentionally want to get AIDS for, I don't know, do you know what the reason is, Chad?
The article describes it as there's this kind of ever-looming threat, and that once you have it, the threat is gone, and you can just live your life as you please.
Yeah, so they no longer have the anxiety of getting AIDS. So a lot of these guys were doing this, but they were afraid that...
Life is surrounded by ever-looming threats.
Yeah, well, you're not a bug chaser, Ron. You can't... I don't know what to tell you. You can't identify. But if for these guys who voluntarily want to get AIDS...
Bug them on go.
They don't want it to be a crime. And so that's why I think in California they pushed to repeal this law.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think that's what this caller was referring to, which is interesting because...
SR7, it says, you don't give AIDS, you develop AIDS. You have HIV that leads to AIDS.
Oh, my gosh.
You dipshit.
Yeah, all right. We can get calls correcting us on that one next week. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting call because I think there's something to that. We got a call about your turkey, Ron.
Okay.
Yeah, listen to this.
Oh, boy.
Hey, this is Steven in Seattle. Ron, where the fuck do I even start with this? Crispy turkey? What the fuck are you talking about? What are you doing to these turkeys? The whole point of the Thanksgiving turkey is to make it moist. There are 100 articles that pop up on social media every single year about how to get the most moist turkey. You're trying to do the exact polar opposite of what you're supposed to be doing with meat. No one's trying to make the crunchiest steak the hardest ham. No, it's supposed to be
The
good. The whole
hardest
point of meat
ham.
is that you sink your teeth into it. It's not
Oh
supposed
my
to be a Werther's
god,
original.
this fucking guy.
Yeah, and also, by the way, I bought Fuck Whales on Audible. Listen to Maddox's narration of it. It's fucking hilarious. I didn't get it for free from the library. That's strike one and strike two, buddy. You're on thin ice.
Yeah.
I did see you get the notice.
My god.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
This fucking guy. Apparently he's only ever had moist turkey with non-crispy skin because you've been cooking your fucking turkey wrong. That's what was he saying? He's bitching at me about crispy skin?
Well, it sounded like he thought you were making crispy turkey. And then he used the analogy of hard ham.
Yeah.
I mean, that does sound bad. You don't want a hard ham.
Yeah. It's moist skin with it's crispy skin
Crispy
with the
skin.
moist turkey.
Moist turkey.
You,
Okay.
You spatchcock, you tell me what you like better. And yeah, I mean, if you got money to spend on Audible, I mean, congrats, buddy. Things are going really well for you. But personally, I'm for people who maybe are a little bit harder up in their life. And for them, they could use the library.
Yeah, or not. Use Audible, subscribe, buy my book on Audible, which, by the way, everyone really likes my narration. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but they did an amazing job. They start out with this really nice, classical, this classical music that starts out, kind of swells, and then it goes.
I would actually like to listen to your book. I think that would be the best way. I think your voice, saying the things, I think would make it even funnier.
Yeah.
Just because I'm assuming when you read it, you get a little riled up.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Because I kept looking in the booth when I was reading this thing, which, by the way, is just a marathon. It's like it takes 15 hours.
I always wonder what it's like.
I did it with two of mine.
You did it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, are you doing them over how many days? Are you guys doing 8-hour days where you're just talking?
Basically, yeah. Yeah,
how do you don't you get tired? Is there a point where you're just fuck, can we just stop?
Yes.
You constantly have to be pounding tea and coffee and drinks and keeping your throat hydrated and taking those cough drops and honey, everything you can. But by the end of it, if you don't speak properly, you will taste blood in the back of your throat. It's brutal. It's insane.
Dude, I've never really thought, because on the one hand it's you want to have a good book, but on the other hand you don't want to pay for the recording, so you can't do it for 3 hours a day.
The publisher would do it anyway. I mean, they'll hire someone to do it if you're not going to read it. But
they came to me and they're like, we're going to do 2 of your books.
Yeah.
Who do you want to do the voice? And I was like, me.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Chad, you got a great voice. I would listen.
I can see your voice.
Yeah.
Now, I really look forward to Taylor Nicolai's book on pickleball, that he's going to do the audiobook.
Hey, guys. Taylor, I don't know if he's still in the chat room.
Put your pickleball bat in your bag.
Oh, man, I'm going to see if he's still in the chat room. Tyler Swagger says, any library that carries Fuck Whales is a good library, though. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. We got one last voicemail. It's a correction because I misspoke about the fucking type of cars they have in Houston. I said that it's just full Ford Escalades. Listen to this.
Did you say Ford Escalade? Cadillac makes the Escalade, you fucking waterhead. I know you're going to get lit up about this. I just wanted to be douchebag of the week again.
Douchebag of the week.
Hey, congratulations. You made it. Wow. What is it? It's the Ford. It's not the Ford Escalade. It's the Chevy Escalade. And
It's
then what's
the Ford F-150.
No, what's the big giant fucking Ford one that's like the
Ford
Escalade?
F-350.
No, it's like the Escalade, but it's a Ford one.
There's a Chevy
Bronco?
Suburban, the Ford Expedition.
I don't know, man.
Maybe I'm just thinking of Chevy
cars.
Escalades. Yeah, it's garbage. All these tiny old ladies in Houston drive around Chevy Escalade. Oh, it's a Chevy Escalade.
Dude.
Oh, sorry, it's a Chevy Escalade.
Cadillac. Fucking idiot.
That's Texas, dude. Every time I have to go back there, it's always like out here in LA,
Expedition.
every other car's a
Expedition.
Prius. There, every other car's some kind of giant SUV.
The giant SUV. That's
Dude,
all they drive.
in Portland, every car I saw up there was a Subaru Outback. I counted 90 Subaru Outbacks when I was there for a Saturday. People love the Sub.
In where? Portland?
Portland, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like a
It's Subaru Outback territory.
Subaru Outbacks for sure. And then those fucking Tevas. What are those shitty shoes that look like they're like sandals and hiking shoes? Tevas, yeah. Oh gosh, they're the worst.
Dude,
they look so bad.
My girlfriend wants me to get a pair of Tevas so bad. And growing up, I always wanted a pair of Tevas.
No.
Yeah, I did.
Oh no. Every time I see anyone wearing Tevas, I feel like I can like almost taste their feet. Like it's just
I just never understood I was like, why aren't you protecting your foot? Like I never got like if you're gonna wear sandals, wear sandals. Like I don't.
It's the worst of both.
Because I'm like, if you're hiking, I want my foot covered. I don't
Yeah.
want to be like unless I was like, I don't know, going in like a walk.
And now because we've all discussed this and our cell phones have picked it up, we're gonna have ads for fucking Tevas in all of our Instagram feeds.
Oh man, I can't wait to see that. Maybe I'm gonna buy a Teva sandal.
Yeah, we'll see.
We
Anyway,
will. We will.
we should get to some quick news headlines. This is an interesting story, and it's kind of becoming scary, but China has deployed this. It's facial recognition at a marathon to stop cheats.
Dude, it
in
goes
China.
deeper than that.
Really?
Yeah.
They have the most robust facial recognition AI of any place in the fucking world, I think in Beijing.
Yeah, I've heard about
And
this.
they have employed it. You know how they have like the social currency there?
Yeah.
They have employed it to shame you publicly. If you're walking through some kind of public square and you got in trouble for jaywalking or whatever, anybody who is kind of like on the lower end of their social currency spectrum, they will put your picture up on screens because the facial recognition software sees that you're walking through an open thoroughfare or whatever. Your face will pop up on screens and be like, this person jaywalked, this person spit gum on the street, whatever the thing is. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's
So
nuts.
this, though, is great.
Well, so facial recognition will be deployed at a marathon on Sunday in China to crack down on cheating, state media said, after a half marathon was blighted by wide-scale flouting of the rules. Running and marathons are fast becoming popular in China, with participants sporting the latest trendy gear and wearable technology. But the sport has also made unwelcome headlines, and half marathon last week in Shenzhen later found that 258 runners had cheated. Wow, 258 runners, including many who took shortcuts. Chinese authorities have now vowed to get tough. For this Sunday's Kunming Marathon, which is expected to draw 6,000 runners, including foreign athletes, organizers will use facial recognition to ensure people do not get someone else to run for them. Competitors must carry a valid ID and carry out verification through the facial identification system, Xinhua news agency says. Xinhua on Thursday called the cheating at run in Shenzhen over the border from Hong Kong deeply shameful. Wow, that's interesting. You just get someone to run for you. And this is from Yahoo News.
I'm into it. I'm into all kinds of computer-aided rule enforcement for games.
And I'm
If
into
you can't enforce the rules, there's no fucking game.
and I'm into cheating at marathons because running sucks. Not into it. Ron's a runner. You run, right?
I have run. I wouldn't call myself a runner.
Ron's a
though.
runner. He's a big runner.
I ran a half marathon. It's a 10K.
Is that a quarter marathon? Is that a thing?
Yeah, no. I mean, it is now
call
that
it
I
a
say
half-half.
it. I call it a half marathon.
Yeah.
First, we started running half marathons, 5Ks. Yep. Now we're up to half marathons. One of these days, I'm going to run a half marathon.
Hey, you're working your way up. Not me. I don't like to run.
Yeah, we know.
Why'd you look at my gut there, Ron? I don't like the way you look at my gut.
Hey, you made you should put your super brain to work on the rest of you. You know what I mean?
That's the only thing keeping me fit is all the calories it's burning. I'd be much fatter if I didn't have it. My mega substitute teacher tells first grade student Santa Claus isn't real. Yay!
Oh, fuck.
Cool.
Good.
Are you disagreeing with this move, Ron?
I just think it's a little harsh, to get that from your teacher. at
That
first grade.
truth.
Well, the base word.
I do think it's fucked up that we're lying to our children too.
Yeah, the base word of the word teacher is teach, right? So what's her job if not to tell kids
I thought it
that?
was tea.
I think all teachers' first day of kindergarten should be Santa Claus isn't real, neither is God. Now let's learn some math.
The first time I was ever censored in my life was in second grade because here's how I found out Santa Claus wasn't real. Very unceremoniously. I was like 5 years old maybe. And I asked my mom, because I started hearing all these Christmas songs and seeing like Rudolph and stuff on TV. And I said, hey, Mom, what's Santa going to bring me? Am I going to get a gift from Santa? She goes, oh, your dad's out in the garage. Go ask him to take you to the store and get you something. And I'm like, oh, so there is no Santa? It's just Dad is doing it? She goes, yeah, go ask him for what you want. I'm like, oh, okay. And I just walked. That's how I learned about Santa. So in second grade, we had to write a report on what we wanted from Santa Claus. And my report was titled Santa Does Not Exist.
Fantastic.
And my teacher refused to hang it up in the hallways and then called a parent-teacher meeting with my mom to discuss this with her.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's because what do they say? Like, but Santa doesn't exist.
We must maintain the lie.
Yeah.
That's probably what they said.
I don't know. They were just like, well, we can't hang this up in the hallways and ruin it for all the other kids. I'm like, well,
then you're not going to
Yeah,
get my
well, it's
kid
going to
an
get
F.
ruined for them. Dude, I was probably like 7 maybe when I told my parents, like, we used to have this big thing where we'd all converge on our grandparents' house and they would hire, all the extended family would show up and they would hire a guy to come in a Santa suit and pass out presents to everyone. And the adults would all agree this is the true Santa. And I told my parents, I know that's just some guy you hire. You know, I don't have to do the charade anymore. And that year, that fucking guy showed up and gave me a shoebox full of coal.
oh, fuck him. You know,
Yeah.
because your parents probably told him to.
Of
How would
course.
he- yeah.
Of course. My parents were like, Santa is real. We don't know what you're talking about.
Fucking
And then he gave
awful.
me a fucking box of coal.
And then you were like, yeah, thanks for the fuel source.
Yeah,
and you went and started a
No,
fire.
I was
Yeah.
like, well, this proves it, doesn't it? That you're just trying to now have retribution on me for...
That's horrible.
Yeah,
And then, that just like showed, now your parents are just being assholes to you. Wow.
Now, that was the first time and last time, of course.
Yeah. You used that coal.
Yeah, exactly. I made it into a diamond.
Well, this is from CBS Local. It's another one of these stories where the journalist really had fun with it. One teacher will be getting coal this holiday season.
Oh, boy.
A New Jersey... A New Jersey school district is apologizing for a substitute teacher who told first grade students that Santa Claus isn't real. Oh, she's a fucking substitute. This makes it
Yeah.
even better because
I
she doesn't
know.
give a fuck.
Yeah.
She came in.
Came in, dropped the knowledge.
Here you go, idiots. I actually taught you something.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
They only get paid like $110 a day.
Yeah,
So
it's not.
like-
Yeah. A New Jersey school district is apologizing. All right, so Cedar Hill School principal Michael Raj sent a letter to parents following the incident Thursday at the school in Montville. Raj noted that as a parent himself, he understands the sensitive nature of the topic. Montville School Superintendent Renee Rovtar said that in a statement that she was troubled and disheartened by this incident. Rovtar explained that childhood wonder associated with all holidays and traditions is special to her. Well, yeah, but you're not a child. Who gives a fuck? Rovtar. Raj says that he has spoken with the teacher about her poor judgment. Administrators haven't released the teacher's name or said if she would be allowed to work again in the district. Come on.
Dude, you want to talk about, is the internet giving us more dipshits? The lie of Santa Claus has been around since how long? Way before the fucking internet. And we still have dipshits saying that we have to keep telling the lie. It's insane to me.
Yeah.
Behavioral conformity, dude.
I love spoiling Santa Claus to kids. Like, I love it. It's my...
You've spoiled Santa Claus?
I mean, I've said it before and not even thinking about anything of it. And the parents like muffled their ears and they like made sure the kid didn't hear it. But I didn't know. I was around a kid and I was just like talking about Santa Claus. I didn't know this kid didn't know about it. And I'm like, well, it's not my fault your kid's a dipshit.
Yeah.
By the way, your kid like can fucking drive. How?
I just don't even understand. What's the fucking benefit of the lie?
I don't know.
I don't get what is the benefit societally, even individually. I don't understand.
How did you learn about it, Ron? This
I think it was
podcast?
just like
right now?
yeah, about 10 minutes ago. I'm just kind of still taking it in. I don't remember. I just remember. I think kids on the playground were like, "Yeah, Santa Claus isn't real, man." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I know."
Yeah.
Stupid.
You're going to learn from other kids. I was the one to tell that to my friends in like first grade. I told them like Santa Claus doesn't exist.
I also felt like Santa was like weird. That I did notice. I was like, "That's weird how Santa has the same handwriting as my dad."
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of picked up on that. And then, but still, like, my parents will still give me, like, my mom, like, sometimes I'll get a present from Santa under the tree. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, you know, it's it's cute.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's nice.
I saw a funny tweet about, Michael Bublé, the singer. Yeah.
Everybody knows the Bublé.
the boob.
A Canadian treasure.
Yeah, he is a Canadian treasure. He sang Santa Baby, except he changed the lyrics from Santa Baby to Santa Buddy. And someone tweeted out, yeah, so it's like Santa Buddy. Yeah, because and someone tweeted out, I was like, why do you change it to Santa Buddy? You're too good to suck Santa's dick like the rest of us. All right. We got one last story here. A dominatrix specializes in turning white right-wing men into socialists.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
How is that?
This is so she says, for many of her clientele who are almost exclusively white right-wing men, because she finds herself unable to be even fictionally cruel to any other type of man, that fetish is serving a powerful woman. Mayberry derives her pleasure, this is so poorly written. It says, Mayberry derives her pleasure comes from forcing those men to see the contradiction between their love of powerful women and their support for political parties that actively work to limit women's rights and empowerment. In her book, Dining with Humpty Dumpty, wow, she detailed conversations with a man she said exhibited the disgusting contradiction of claiming to be both a female supremacist and a Tory. What's a Tory? Is that like a British thing?
Like a Whigs and the Tories. I think the Tory is the conservative one.
Oh, okay, so he's a conservative. Okay, so
I think so. Yeah.
So he's a female supremacist. This is like interesting, right? These like male feminists, like female supremacists, and then also a Tory, like a conservative. A lot of the book is about how people use political issues with the sexual fantasy and how that's problematic. Marbury explained in an interview with Senator Pompadour. Man, this is so British. In the book, I decided to think about the power dynamic that exists between a dominatrix and her submissive. If he wants to really make me happy, which he says he does, what could possibly make them more happy than turning him into a socialist? I don't know. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Does it actually though translate into whatever these guys do during the day? Like she said that was a senator in there.
That was, I guess like
some kind of government
politician.
official.
Yeah, some kind of politician.
Did that guy actually start to change his policies?
I don't know, but it's pretty interesting because like you've seen guys completely drastically change themselves for a girl, right? And they try to become like a totally different person, a drastically different person. I could foresee a world in which someone would change their political views to impress a girl. Like the guys have actually. I was just researching about this guy who was like really obsessed with this girl, and this girl's very religious. She was Christian, and this guy was like always a devout atheist. He became a Christian.
Wow.
For her. Yeah.
That's a fundamental change in your view of reality.
Yeah.
It happened on this last season of The Bachelorette. The guy who ended up winning it was revealed that he had all these different tweets and Instagram posts that he had liked that were super kind of like alt-right, and she was not. And then he deleted all those, publicly disavowed them, blah, blah, blah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, those are the headlines. Chad, thank you for joining us again this week. Where can people find you?
My Instagram is Bachelor Clues, at Bachelor Clues.
At Bachelor Clues. Don't forget to follow Chad on Instagram.
It's if you like the show The Bachelor, it's a whole series of memes in which I liken the host Chris Harrison to a satanic figure that devours the souls of all the contestants.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And
sounds pretty good.
Are you still doing your podcast?
No, it's been off. 10-minute podcast it used to be, but
with Will Sasso, right?
Yeah. Every once in a while we'll dick around and talk about maybe doing something else, but who knows if it will ever come to fruition.
Yeah, that was a fun podcast. Well, anyway, thanks again for joining us, Chad.
My pleasure. Thanks
and
for
Ron,
having me.
where can people find you?
You can find me, follow me on Instagram at HeyRon, Twitter, Ron Babcock. HeyRon.com has links to everything, and make sure to go listen to my album, This Guy, on Spotify.
This
free.
Guy, yeah.
It's kind of like an online library.
It's a cool, you know what, Ron? You got to throw it in there. Veto that plug. I'm going to.
It's too late. It's already out.
All right. Well, thank you again, guys. Thank you to my Rear Admiral of Tangents, Ron Babcock.
Thank you, Maddox.
Thank you to the moderator in training, Chad Kultgen.
Thanks very much.
But most of all, you're welcome.
Ron, you stupid piece of crap. Listen, the only people that come into a room and tell you immediately what they are vegans and authors. Stop lumping straight edge people in with a bunch of hippie retards. And yeah, that goes for you too, Maddox. Stupid Armenian turd. God, I'm so mad right now.
Yeah, all right.
Hey there. Don't forget to subscribe to Madcast shows on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Okay, bye. Madcast Media Network.